Hello, this is John Leschuk with Second Moonshot. I'm the owner, and um, today I'm going to be showing you a little bit about a new molding style that we've got for 7-inch 45, as well as take an opportunity to just show you the installation process for it. These are fully custom frames. You can choose any aspect of this. You can change the size, the layout. I can make them bigger. I can make additional windows in there for you. You can. These are available in single and a slightly larger one and a double mat, which has a circular cutout. We also have the 12-inch that do just the vinyl record and a 12-inch that does a cover and a record. And if I remember it, then I'll kind of show you just a couple of those I have on the wall. Just some sample moldings. This is a new one that I'm going to be putting on Etsy, which is called a black antique dimple molding. Um, and it's also available kind of a gunmetal gray, and you can see it, these two on the bottom. Very attractive ones, and these are kind of two of the standard ones. The most common one that I ship is this flat black 3/4 inch, and there's also this black 1 1/8 inch as well that I'll do, especially for some of the larger frames upon request. This one's a no charge upgrade. These two will be about $5 more for the frame for the small one, and a little bit more for the larger frames. There are hundreds of different matte colors that we have available. I use Crescent Select for all the mattes. There's a couple minor exceptions if I have some upgrades available or something special that we're looking for. But we've got lots of those, as well as for an additional upcharge, there are specialty mats, the metallics, and some of the textured mats. But those will, require a couple dollars extra to get those. The only thing you really need for this is going to be a screwdriver and your record. And the think of it as this is really all put together, and you're just doing the final steps of the mounting and covering up the back. And so I guess what they call that. The final steps, if you will. So the instruction sheet that you'll get with it will come here, and it'll go through pretty detailed. You shouldn't have any problem doing it. I might have had one or two questions. In the package that you're going to get a Second Moonshot sticker. You're going to get wire hanger with screws for the picture. You're going to get some rubber bumpers. There's a little in here. You're going to see a little. It's a removable Scotch double-sided square, which is just used to keep the record from rotating out there. There'll be no damage. It is removable to the back side of the album. You get a wall hanger, and you get a vintage Webster Chicago 45 record adapter. One of the questions that I do get often is people have difficulty putting these in here, and they're really not that hard. You're just going to lay the top in there and push it all the way through, and then you're going to slightly bend things in here and move it over in here, and then that's all set up, and that's now placed in there, and you can kind of rotate it a little bit as necessary if you want to get it nice and centered. So we'll set that aside. So this is the record you're going to receive. It'll be in a bag. It'll be double boxed, extremely well packaged. I haven't had any of these damaged. And well, I might have had one very early on. Every time something gets damaged, I'll beef up my packaging to make sure that those types of errors don't happen again, and make any corrections that I need to the packaging. But it's been a year or two since I've had any damage. So what you're going to get is all this is new materials within the frame. The first thing we're going to do is you're just going to loosen these turn buttons on the back that are used to hold the back cover in place. And then we can take the package out from here. Okay. And you do want to wash your hands before you start this, because you don't want to get fingerprints on the mat. This is a darker color, so you're unlikely to see any fingerprints on there. And then you have the mat. Now, typically, and this isn't always, so you got to double check, but I will typically glue in the corners of the glass so that you can tip it upside down. Sometimes it makes the installation a little bit easier, but certainly double check. If not, you'll have to put it in reverse and put it in from the top side. But typically, I'll glue those in there to make it a little bit easier for the final assembly. Okay, so we're going to just set this aside for a moment. We're just going to put that over here, and we're going to get the package out. Now, this is pretty straightforward here. This is just a little piece to help insert it. And you're going to get the mat. On the top, you'll have the mat. Below it, these may or may not be connected. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, depending on whether I do it or not, really. But you're going to get a foam backing board that also gives a little bit of space for the plastic rivet, which is used to hold the record in place to kind of go through and to hold that. So so pretty much that's what you're going to get. There are times, if I make a note on the back that this specifically is the top because occasionally I need to make a slight offset. But in the case of 45s and no additional mat, those are typical. So pretty much the only step you're going to do is just put the record right on top with the hole showing through. You're going to take your rivet and you'll push your rivet through, snap it in. Now the rivet can be removed, although you're gonna destroy the rivet by clipping off the back of the rivet, and take that out. So if you take that, clip it off, then you'll be able to get that rivet out. And I'll send you a new rivet for a couple dollars plus for free but for shipping only. If you need to do that, and I can send different mats if you want a different color on that one. So this is what the final piece is going to look like. You're going to put it in there. Now, what you have are these, remember I mentioned the square double stick tabs that we have here. I'm not going to put them on there because I'm going to put this back on the shelf. But you'll just stick these right behind the record, kind of in there, not on the label. Put it towards the end on the vinyl. Use one or two of them, probably only need one. And you'll make sure it's centered and then put that underneath it just to make sure the record doesn't rotate. And again, it is removable. So once you get that all in place, then really the main thing that we're going to do at this stage is we're going to put the record on it. Now we've got the record pointing in this direction, and you'll want to make sure that the framing label is towards the bottom of that as it stands up. And this is the frame, and you're going to see two holes in there that are for the hangers, and we're going to want to make sure those are at the top. So we'll move that tab around, we'll lay it on here in place, make sure there's no dust, get any dust you need to do, and now that is in place on there. So now we'll turn it back over, lay it on a table or a dish towel or something just so you don't scratch the frame. Now we're simply going to rotate the tabs around. Might have to push it in a little bit. Okay, do that for all of them. And the last one. Okay, and that's what the end result is going to look like. Now, next step is you'll take the bumpers. There'll be two pads here just to help long-term keeping them secure. You put the two rubber bumpers right on the back here, and then you've got the metal wire hanger, which will go on. Just going to straighten that out a little bit, and we'll put the screws in and attach our wire hanger. Okay, that's one side, we'll do the other side. I can do a soft tooth hanger if you prefer. Just no one. I think I've had one person request one of those. All right. And there's your wire hanger on there, and that'll hang on the wall here. Typically, it's not as tight. I've got to redo that one. And that's the end result. You can hang it up. I mean, it is, like I said, it looks beautiful, like any custom frame. And I've done several. I've done some that have the cover on the top, make it longer. The bigger the frame, there will be additional costs because it requires more of the molding going into it. I'm going to come around and just spend a minute. See if I can do this without doing too much damage here, but I'll just kind of run around the shop and kind of see some of the frames. Most of these I've done, some I haven't. I also do some frames and magazine ads that I make available, but over here you see some of the other ones that I have available, some of the record frames. You see here, and I've done these for a couple artists who in the groups that have had new releases which the one on the right was for the Doug and the Slug release that came out a couple months ago. I've done some signed albums. Some of these aren't for sale, just some I have internally. I'm going to kind of do those. Um, so that's it. Well, come back around. So that's really it. And um, hopefully this shows you what you need to know to get it installed. But the instructions are pretty detailed, and my phone number is included, and you can call me anytime if you have any issues if you decide to buy it. And hope you take a look at it. Thank you.